if you don't want to be on video, but we do want the video option. You see my person I'm calling right there. And you see the video camera at the bottom, that's what Ben will see.
Hey, how are we doing?
Hi, Mr. Cloud. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Cloud?
Cloud.
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 Good afternoon, Mr. Cloud.
Good afternoon to you.
And thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Cloud. We're here to ask...
You guys all hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
No, you're welcome.
Well, thanks
So
for...
how can I help you today?
Well, right now we have a certain amount of questions about the SAT. We'd like to know for our history, for our project concerning the SAT.
Sure.
One of the first is, what is the normal testing format of the SAT?
You talking about the current one or the new one that will be coming up?
The current one right now.
Okay, the current format is 10 sections. It's about 3 hours and 40 minutes. You have math, what they call verbal or critical reasoning, and grammar, and an essay.
And for the, what is it called? For the essay, how long was it for that section?
The essay is 25 minutes long, and they give you very general topics to comment on. What they're asking you for really is an opinion. And it's not going to be on anything specific. To show you the difference between the SAT and the ACT gives you essay topics that are more student-related. Like they might ask you, what do you think of the idea of student uniforms? Or what do you think of the idea of students getting free lunches? These are more student-related topics. The SAT doesn't do that.
What are some test-taking strategies for the English section?
Say that again, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
What are some test-taking strategies for the English section?
I still didn't get it.
She said, what are some test-taking strategies for the English section?
What are some of the what?
What are some test-taking strategies for the English section?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a little hard to hear when you're deep in the room like that. Yeah, well, you know that the math section on the test is all in order of difficulty. So that means the questions start easy and work their way towards getting difficult. So we know that there are pretty much predictable patterns that they use. So we tell students, okay, if you have a limited amount of time to handle questions in math, you know that the first, let's say there's 20 questions in 25 minutes. Then they're going to ask you, okay, the first 6 questions are probably going to be reasonably easy. But once you get past 6, they're going to start to increase in difficulty. So the first 6 are easy, the next 6 would probably be medium level, and then the final 4 or 5 questions will be the hardest of the group. So we always tell students, if you don't feel comfortable in math, then obviously you should focus on getting the first 14 or 15 questions right. Because everything beyond that is going to be really difficult. So the idea is to be able to pace yourself through the first 14 or 15 questions, so that you, by the time you get to 16, even if you don't have a great deal of time left, you want to be certain that the first 14 or 15 are correct. Okay, now, you want to know about reading?
Yeah.
Okay. In the reading section, there is no order of difficulty except for the vocabulary questions. Those are the ones that begin every reading section. And there are 19 of those in total out of the 67 questions that have to do with reading, which means they don't have a big impact on your score. If there are only 19 questions, they really can't hurt your score that much. They are in order of difficulty. So if you're getting 8 in one, 6 in another, and then the final group has the shortest number, 5, you decide, okay, of the 8 that I have to do, 5 or 6 of those will be fairly easy. So I should try to get those done. The ones beyond that, from 6 through 8, are going to be the most difficult vocabulary you'll see. Now remember, this is question 1 through 8, but you're in a section that has 20 questions in it. So you still have 12 more to go. So you don't want to waste a lot of time on 6, 7, and 8, when you still have to do the reading. And the reading is actually much easier to do than the 6, 7, 8 vocabulary question. Because unless you've got a killer vocabulary, you're going to have trouble with 6, 7, and 8. So that when you get to the reading, you want to do the first 5. Then you look at the last 3 questions, 6, 7, and 8, and you decide, do you know the answer choice? If you don't know at least 3 of those words, then you should skip the question. Because you're going to be making a random guess, and it's not going to be very helpful. So you go right away to the reading and see if you can do the passages, which are generally easier to do than the difficult vocabulary. So that's the reading strategy that you would use.
Yeah, so what you're
Okay,
saying.
anything else?
Yeah, so what you're saying is that instead of trying to answer all the questions, we should aim to answer them correctly?
I'm sorry, say it again, it broke up.
That instead of trying to answer all questions, we should aim more to answer them correctly instead of rushing through everything.
Yeah, one of the worst things students do on the test is rush. They want to see if they can get every question done. Well, there's no benefit. You don't get extra points if you finish every question. The idea is to slow down and concentrate on getting the majority of the questions right. Unless you're a really top-level student who's trying to get over 700 on each section, you should be able to slow down and get anywhere from 600 to 700, which is considered a very good score. Because if you add all 3 sections together, getting an 1800 is a very good score. There are only, a certain number of schools that would not take that score.
How many times should a student aim to take the SAT?
Probably no more than twice. You take it the first time in order to get a basic score. You take it the second time, depending on whether you've had any help. If you're taking it again on your own, with no help from anybody else or any test prep service, the idea is you're probably only going to go up maybe 30 to 40 points total from your previous score. If you get help, there's a very good opportunity for you to go up anywhere from 100 to 300 points. That's a significant difference. So if you go up that 300 points, let's say for example, on your second test, if you take it a third time, you're probably not going to increase that any more than maybe 30 or 40 points. So there's really no benefit to take it the third time. Your second score will probably be your optimum score. So that's why taking it 3 times, students do it, we know that, we see it all the time, but usually it's a student that hasn't had any help because they're just trying to increase their score.
And what do you feel would be like the main importance of taking the exam, other than for college admissions?
The one other area where it helps is in scholarship money. Because when you apply for any financial aid, they look at students based on their SAT scores. Strangely enough, that's one of the criteria that they use, is that if you've got a high SAT score, it helps you in getting financial aid if you're in need of financial aid. And it's based on that. So they look at a combination of your GPA and your SAT score, and then they decide how much money they think should be allotted to the student. So it can help you in terms of financial aid.
Is there anything else you would like to input that you feel students should know about the SAT?
Yeah, we wish it never existed.
Us too.
That sounds pretty bizarre coming from a company that actually does test prep. But this goes back to when John Katzman started the Princeton Review in 1981. He was a senior at Princeton University. That's how the company got its name. And he was tutoring students in the New York area because he was from New York City. 2 years later, when they interviewed him for one of the magazines, one of the news magazines, they asked him what he thought of standardized testing. And he said, "I hate it." Now, this is the man who started the company. And his position was, "I hate the idea of a standardized test." And the truth of the matter is, most of us at the company feel it's unfair. Because it is really not a good indicator of how a student will do in college. I mean, it's absurd to think that if you get a 2,000 on your SAT, that you're going to be a high-scoring college student. It's not necessarily true. And in some cases, it eliminates students who should have the opportunity to get to a better college because they just don't hit the score. I mean, let's face it, any student who's taking a test prep course like the Princeton Review or any of the others, we consider that to be what they call a privileged student. That's a student that can afford to take help. The underprivileged student who can't afford to take the help doesn't have the same opportunity to increase their score, so they're being excluded. And it's one of the reasons anybody who criticizes the test always says it's not fair. And in a way, it's not fair. Now they're going to change it again in 2016. So it just indicates that they're not even sure what they're doing. They're going to bring the test back to what it was in 2005. What were we doing all of these years? That made it a better test if you're deciding to go back to what it was in 2005. Doesn't seem to make much sense. But hey, it's the College Board and they're the ones who control everything, so you're stuck.
Well, that's all the questions I believe we have for right now. I would like to thank you for your time, taking time for
You're welcome.
this interview.
Say hello to your principal for me. I met him last year when we did a course at your school. Mr. O'Leary?
Yeah.
I'm assuming he's still principal.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah, say hello to him for me. I had breakfast with him one morning. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was very, very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah.